do in commercial enterprises. When we buy inventory, what's the account that we debit and credit? We credit cash or whatever and debit what? Inventory, right? Under the purchase method, it says, don't debit inventory. Debit expenditure, like as if it was, you spent it already. And in the second method, no rocket science there either. The second one says, if it's substantial, debit inventory. The first one says, expense it. We don't like to use the word expense. We say, it's what? Reported as total expenditure. Now, I made this sound to you very simple. There's one little complication, okay, which is this. So at the end of the year, you send somebody out, takes a count, it says you've got $900 worth of inventory at the end of the year. Many, many slides ago, I don't know if you remember, there was a slide on fund balance which said spendable and non-spendable fund balance. I don't know if you remember that. It's like your account, your reserve, some of it could be spent and some of it couldn't. And what happens in governmental accounting is whatever the amount of inventory you show on the asset side has to be offset by an equal amount of non-spendable fund balance. So if you have $900 worth of inventory sitting in your asset, you don't have a liability. You've got to figure somehow to balance that. You have $900 worth of non-spendable fund balance. That's the complication there. Okay? So everybody understand the purchase. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. We want to make things easy in life, not complicated. So I sometimes, in order to make it simple, what I try to do is not get into the areas which can cause confusion. Okay? For instance, the area where you will find an entry at the end where they actually adjust the fund balance at the end of the year. Sure, they would have to. If your inventory last year was 900 and this year it's 800, what do you have to do to your fund balance? You have to bring it down to 800. That's the complication. Okay? And one uses periodic, the other uses perpetual system. Here's the purchase method. Look at what they do. They buy the stuff and they don't debit inventory, expenditures. But this was the little complication I was telling you about, adjusting it at the end of the year to make sure that both the inventory account and the fund balance account agree. Look at what happens at the governmental activities. It's never, ever expensed. Always inventory of supplies, because we're using accrual basis of accounting. This is what all of us will understand. And again, expense, no different than what you would find in a business enterprise. By the way, I got to tell you a quick story about this. This one subject, along with some others, is causing some real issues for the financial reporting model under GASB. And not that any one of you might be interested in this, but flow of financial resources, what does that mean? Cash or near cash, right? Inventories, are they cash? Are they near cash? Can you just go and sell and get what you... But they show up in governmental fund balance sheet, and it causes a real problem to people because it's contrary to what I've just told you about. And because of that, GASB is looking at how to deal with this and other issues where we keep on telling flow of financial resources and look at the balance sheet and they say, gosh, this is not financial resources. So they are coming, for those of you who are interested, GASB is looking at something called near-term model. So instead of financial resources, This is so, that's on the works right now. It's called near-term financial reporting model, but it's, as I said, this one issue has caused a lot of problems for the governmental accounting. Not a lot of problems in that sense, but, things that they need to think about. Okay, let's do one thing, which is I need to talk about a couple of more items, and then we'll finish. Special revenue funds. And so we looked at general fund. What are special revenue funds again? They are where the revenue is what? Is restricted or says something it's specified for a specific purpose, right? Special revenue funds, those statements we saw for the general fund? Special revenue funds have the same statements. Budgets that are required for general fund, special revenue funds also have budgets. So they very much look and operate like general fund, except they are for a specific purpose. So here's an example. These are some examples: motor fuel tax, federal grants, specific purpose. This is what I was telling you about the grants. Take a look at this. Actually, this is part of your question. Yeah, this is, I think, one of the homework questions I gave you. So this is what I was speaking about. You basically report it as deferred revenue, as a liability. And the new term by GASB, the next edition of the book that comes out, there is a new element which is called deferred inflow. It's reflected, that's where this would be reflected. When you think about government accounting, GASB only came into being in 1984. And it's still evolving. I mean, where else would you find new financial elements being added to financial statements? So, and we are doing that right now as we go through this. This is the journal entry I was talking about. Debit